if you guys saw on social media, been teasing this for a few days, but we got the man, the myth, the legend, the creator of the reception perception, really probably your favorite analyst when it comes to the wide receiver spot. He's the man. We got a lot of nuggets that we're going to be dropping today. Let me bring him out here. Matt Harmon.
What's up? I got to compliment you, Hustler, on the absolutely electric intro you've got going on there, man. You know, from the like kind of, I don't know, Pac-Man original Mario type of video game countdown to all of the awesome big plays that we had there. Love to see a bunch of the receivers, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, Brandon Ayuk making some big plays. I mean, that got me hyped up for the show. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So all self-produced by me. That was one of the first intros I ever made, put a lot of time into it. I tried to change things around a little bit and everybody was like, no, just put it back the way it was. Don't even mess with it. So I'm excited to have you on. I've been following you, I mean, forever. I can't even put how many years on it. We were talking a little bit before the show, like the evolution of reception perception. I want to hear about where it all started just at the beginning. Did it happen before you were on Yahoo? I mean, that was really the first place that I ever saw you, was on Yahoo.
Yeah. So, I mean, years and years before that, we're talking back in like 2013. I was, I had a normal job, quote unquote. Was just I was basically doing football in my free time, like doing the Backyard Banter, my original website. Some people out there might remember the podcast with that as well, where I sort of did an interview style show, just kind of like this, which, by the way, I'm glad to see that's like really taken off, like just, casual interview type of thing. That was kind of the original idea around Backyard Banter, the podcast. But anyway, so I was doing the website, but, like we were talking about before the show, it's kind of tough to gain traction there at the beginning. I kind of said to myself, I have to do something to stand out in this very crowded, and that's like back in 2013. It's so much more crowded with so many great people doing things right now. But basically, I decided I had to stand out from the crowd. I had to do something different, and I was just going to try to answer my big question about football, which to me was all about the wide receiver position, because this, man. Everybody out there knows this, like wide receiver, they're so inherently dependent on other variables in order to accrue production. Obviously, we know the quarterback has to be good. It has to get them the ball accurately and on time. But there's even more that goes into it. The offensive line has to protect the quarterback. The coach got to put them in the right position to win. They got to kind of be drafted to the right team, defensive matchups, whatever. I said to myself, there has to be some way to isolate the wide receiver from those outside variables. There had to be some way to essentially try to quantify the qualitative reality of route running, the one thing that the receiver can control, how often they run good routes and get separation and get open against the defenders covering them. And that was the birth of reception perception. I spent most of the back half of 2013 and even the early part of 2014 before ever creating any articles about reception perception, testing it, doing different variations of it, seeing how much could I cut the sample, to save some time, right? To be representative of a full season, which is where we landed at the 8. There was a lot that went into it. My dad tells this story of like coming into my apartment, my 1-bedroom apartment in Lynchburg, Virginia, with just like paper strewn all over the floor, and he's like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, I'm working on this thing for my website. It's called Reception Perception. He's like, all right, well, maybe clean the place up a little bit. But that was kind of how it all got started, and then put the article out on Backyard Banter. Got picked up to do some work with the Washington Post back home in Virginia. Got to do some stuff with Football Guys as well, which was kind of my first break into the fantasy space of things. And then went to NFL Network for a few years after that, then to Yahoo. And here we are now. Obviously, Reception Perception was with the Fantasy Footballers for 4 years. 4 great years. Was an awesome partnership. And now broke off to receptionperception.com, the independent entity of which you are a subscriber. And I thank you for that.
Oh, yeah. And break down the tiers that we got. And you guys use promo code HUSTLER when you go get signed up for Reception Perception. Just kidding. It doesn't exist, but one day. So 3 tiers, though. And I made sure to get on the highest one because I wanted all the access to you guys as I could get.
Yeah, so there's 3 tiers of access. Our basic access tier, that's just, pretty much you're going to get articles, every profile that I write. So, and of course you also get access to my tiers cheat sheet, which is on receptionperception.com. I used to give that thing out for free. We don't give things out for free here anymore. No, I'm just kidding. But it's all just for the subscribers. I'm trying to get as much value for you guys as possible. So basic tier, I kind of look at that as like, look, it's August, right? It's August 20th. You haven't done too much research yet. Well, you want to go find out what receivers reception perception likes more than consensus. You want to see some of the route charts, some of that kind of basic level stuff with RP. You get yourself a basic subscription. Prime is kind of the meat of it. That's where most people are. That's where you get access to the Discord. You get access to the master plan, which is the 130 page, I believe it's between 120 and 130 page guide. Basically, anything you want to know about reception perception heading into 2020, it's in an ebook format. It's a free add-on for anybody that is a new or existing Prime subscription or Sicko tier as well. So Prime, you also get the sortable data tables, for the prospects and the current NFL players from last year. And then the Sicko tier, where you belong, that's everything that we've already talked about, in addition to historical data, which I've never given out before. Like you mentioned, like we just talked about, I started this in 2014, fully collecting data. So you can track like how Odell Beckham has been throughout his career, or who are the best at beating man coverage over the 300 players and 80,000 routes I've charted since 2014. You get access to all of that information in season. We'll be doing more like live Q&A type stuff for just the Sicko subscribers. That's also coming. And didn't we mention this? Sicko subscribers and Prime subscribers get a rookie report during the regular season. That's a new thing as well. Obviously, it's hard to chart in the middle of the season when there's so much going on. But I'm sure October, November me is going to hate August me for promising this, but I'm going to go in and I'm going to chart how the rookies are doing. Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, all those guys will release a report during the back half of the rookie season. So if you play Dynasty, oh man, Elijah Moore is actually crushing it even more than his statistics show. Let me go buy him in Dynasty now.
Heck
yeah. A lot of stuff.
I like it. And I'm learning something new because I didn't even know that was coming out. So stoked about that. I think the draft guide, whenever you launched that a couple weeks ago or whatever, I remember getting an email about it. Freaking awesome, because I wasn't expecting that to come either. So super excited.
That was a new idea, mostly from James Co, my co-owner there at receptionperception.com. Like, he just basically said, you know what, obviously there's so much information on the site, but we got a lot of user feedback of people that were like, I want to be able to read the profiles in order of your rankings. So that's what's a big part of the master plan. The ebook that you can download is just, you can sort through the whole thing as I have the players ranked this year coming into the season. There's some of the data, the sortable data tables are in there as well. In addition to all the articles we've written, like the 10 receivers that reception perception is ahead of consensus on. So lots of stuff. It's been good feedback, all things so far. And I'm loving running my own site. I'm loving being in the Discord with you and all the other people as well. And we're just starting to build that out too. Additionally for, I'm sure you're like smarter with this stuff than I am, dude. Cause like I'm so new to Discord. I'm such a boomer about this, I guess. Like, so I'm trying to learn as much as possible, but we've built out some actual channels for people to be able to, ask questions and sort of be organized by like league format and stuff like that. So a lot of cool stuff coming.
Yeah, and just like I told James, you ever need any free labor with any of that stuff, I'm your guy. I'm
there
35.
Yeah.
I'm 35, but I've been doing this all this stuff for a little while now. And so real quick, so we're streaming on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. We're actually streaming in my Facebook group that has like 42,000 members on in there. So we have like little shy of a couple hundred people that are watching right now. Let's pretend that some of these people don't actually know what reception perception is. What are a couple of the key metrics that you break down for the wide receivers?
Yeah, so sort of what I mentioned up at the top is that reception perception, the goal is to isolate wide receiver play from quarterbacks, from the surrounding variables as much as possible. The main metrics of that the main metric is success rate versus coverage. So what I do with reception perception is over an 8-game sample for NFL players, and college players are back this year as well on the website. So, some of the guys like Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith, like I mentioned, those guys are profiled on the site. Basically, what I do is I go in and I chart every single route that those receivers run in those games. I chart how often they run each route type, how often they get open on each individual route type, against what type of coverage are they best, man, zone, press, etc. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have not heard of reception perception, but what I hope that you can glean from that little brief sales pitch. By the way, like there's also alignment data, our guys, X receivers, flankers, slots, contested catch metrics as well, yards after like tackles broken after the catch, drop rate, stuff like that. There's a lot, basically anything that you want to know about a receiver, reception perception is going to tell you that. But the main metrics are the success rate versus coverage metrics, success rate versus man, zone, press, success on each individual route type. What I hope comes through with all that and reception perception is that you can try to find it, but I guarantee you will not find this information anywhere else on the internet. And you will not find, like, just put a lot of work into this over the years. And I think we've turned out a really good product, especially here recently.
And since 2013, when you started this, I want you to exaggerate a little bit, but how many man hours has gone into all this? Because anyone who thinks they could find the information in the same amount of time, let's tell them about how long.
Dude, I mean, like, you see these like other separation metrics on the internet, like, separation by target from like next gen. I mean, I'm sure people are doing great work, man, but no chance. Not the same thing. It's not even close. Take that and just toss it out. Like nobody's watching every single route for these guys. Like I'm doing, I don't know how to calculate man hours, honestly, but let me tell you this. From like the months of, the previous iteration of the partnership with the fantasy footballers, their draft kit was June. This year, most of the stuff was released in July, but let's just say basically from late March, let's go April to July this year, to June this year. I always say, like, especially to my fiance now, this is a tough thing to explain. I'm upstairs charting routes, but no, it's basically, I just say I'm in route prison, like I'm in route prison. That's all I'm doing is watching players. And everybody else that does football, like we all bust our ass from, let's say, August to January during the regular season. I'm the only idiot that decided, you know what? Let me do some more work. Let me make my life more miserable in the other 3 hours. But I love it. I mean, it's an absurd amount of man hours over the last 2 years. Like I said, 80,000 routes are in the database, over 300 players. Every game probably takes like between 15 to 20 minutes. So you can just do the math on that yourself. It's a lot of hours.
It's a lot. What would you say from like a business standpoint? How was it like transitioning from working with the footballers, for 4 years, being exclusive to them versus, now partnering up with James Coe and, launching the whole reception perception website?
Yeah. I mean, number one, James Coe was like just such an unbelievable asset that kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, James and I are really good friends. We worked together at the NFL for several years. We hosted a podcast there together. So that part of it was, for like a content standpoint, that was easy, man. I could sit here, and James and I do on our weekly live stream that's just for subscribers. The clips go up on my YouTube page if anybody wants to check that out as kind of like a little taste. But our full hour plus live show, that's easy because James and I just have great chemistry. We work really well together. But from a business angle, he was an invaluable resource in that because, I know wide receivers. I know route running, that type of stuff. Man, I don't know much about launching a business, So he was very helpful there. Obviously, that was a great decision. And I mean, the footballers and the partnership that we had was great. Transitioning to like being an independent site, I think the cool part about it is just like, if I have an idea, I can just do it. Like, I also still work with Yahoo Sports as well. I'm still doing all of my same stuff there, whether it's Fantasy Football Live on Sunday mornings, hosting the podcast there as well, writing articles. But, the cool part about having an independent site is, well, listen, if I want to write an article about this, that, or the other, I just do it, and being able to also create the community part of it on our own, like all of you sickos out there that want to be in the Discord and everything like that. It's just really cool to kind of create that community. So, from a business standpoint, you're always a little nervous to start something new. You're always a little nervous when even though reception perception is like a known and trusted brand, you know, throughout the industry, right? Like I've been doing this for so long. You're still nervous to kind of take that leap. Like what will the response be when you do it just out there on your own? But it's been really rewarding. I'll say that for sure.
Are you ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile. Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the genie of the lamp.
This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
My pocket, it don't make sense, but don't make a profit. So I hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
It's hard out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life. So I hustle.
It ain't over for me. No, it ain't over for me.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Okay, let's go smoke that joint.